Ryan with Miss.Geek here, and we're back at the bench tonight with the BITX40 calibration. I'm going to call this the calibration VFO because I don't know that I'll be using it, in anger on the air. I may. I'm not really sure. I haven't really, at least at first I probably will, but I don't know if I'll do in the long run. But it doesn't really matter at this point. So I've got it set up here, and first off, I just want to make sure that this thing is actually producing output. So I'm over here with my Kenwood, which you've seen in previous videos, and I'm currently I've got it on lower sideband. Actually, I'll put it on upper sideband, and I'll put it at, it's 18209. So I'll put it at 18208, and then turn it up here. Oh, still on lower sideband. There we go. Sounds like a dying cat, but there we go. And yep. So there's my local oscillator, and then we'll take it down to 11.059 or whatever. Okay, so, oops, now I'll move the IF again. So when I move the IF, the RF, or the local oscillator and the IF change, so I don't have to switch between them. I mean, although I certainly could. I mean, there we go. Oh yeah, of course that doesn't change. Right. So, anyway, that's enough of that. Now we know it's working, so now it's time to actually wire it into the BITX40. And so, clock 0 is IF. That's this guy right here. Now this output will go to the IF. Clock 1 is the local oscillator. So we'll wire those in, and then I've got to power the BITX40. And I'm not going to worry about PTT, just power, speaker, and volume. And the volume knob that I was using on this thing previously when I had it built was terrible. It was from a recovered it was recovered from a CB radio. It was a combination of power and volume switch taken from an old CB, and so it was bad. I threw it away. But this time around, we're going to do the right thing and use another one also recovered from a 40-year-old CB radio. And I'm sure it'll be fine. And what could possibly go wrong? So I put that on here. It's probably backwards because I didn't look at the directions into which way these go, because I don't really care if it's backwards. It's not a big deal. I'll just flip the outer two around. Anyway, so that's that. So I will come back here in the video with this thing lashed up, and just to explain what I'm doing here. This is the input for the radio right here, and output when you're transmitting. It's this pad on this PCB right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take somewhere around here. I've got an RF connector. It's somewhere, but I'll find it. It's on this bench, probably, and I'll hook it up to the antenna and get it on the air and try to listen to some actual radio signals. So I'm going to get that put together, and it shouldn't take too long. Just going to take my time, and I'm never in a hurry here. In fact, I try not to be in a hurry, because when I'm in a hurry, that's when I make the dumbest mistakes. And I can make some pretty stupid mistakes, let me tell you. So I will look for that RF connector wherever it is, and then start putting it together. I'll let you know what I find. All right, welcome back. It's been probably half an hour or more, and I've just been sitting here soldering and cutting and doing and things. And I'll show you what I've got. So this is the antenna connector, the antenna cable coming from my antenna going to an SO239. And one of the things that I want to, that's my giant arm. what I want to mention is always whenever you tear something down, make sure you save the hardware from it, because you never know how you'll be able to misuse it for another project. I was able to find this bolt here, and the bolt and the nut, and any bolt will work in a hole as long as you can turn it hard enough. And I actually had self-tapped that using another screw or another bolt sometime before, and done the same thing. It works pretty handily. I didn't have a small enough screw, so I just turned that one until it turned, and it actually worked because this is fairly soft metal. And then I put some of this stuff underneath it, and then turned it into a little loop at the end to give the solder something to bite, and soldered that up. And I've soldered that also, the whole connector, just as I said I was going to, at ground here, and then that RF in here. So there's no bandpass filter, and so I've got my VFO here, and you guys saw that in the last video, so I'm not really going to talk about that too much. Now the power is right here. If you have a BITX40, you know the power connection is right here in PTT. PTT and mic are not connected because I'm not going to try to transmit, at least not right now. I might, but I'm not really planning to. Local oscillator and IF are just soldered in with the wire net here. And power, I just made this little connector here. This is probably temporary. It might not be, but you will recall in the last video I showed that I made a power bus here so that you could get 5 or 12 volts from it quite easily. I've got my volume knob, which I just turn it all the way and then find the middle. And then for audio out, I've got the same connector I was using back when I had the radio built. So this can go to a speaker, this RCA connector, but I've got an external speaker plugged in here. I've got this old computer speaker that I repurposed. So that'll work, and at least I think it will. I'm pretty sure that speaker is wired correctly for this. If not, I've got the original speaker itself. I can go grab and use that and plug it into the RCA connector. So I'll know that here in a minute. So I think that's it. Oh, and by the way, I know these wires, you're probably wondering how come you're running these big long wires. Well, I wasn't sure how long I would need them, and I didn't want to mess with it. These are temporary. And they're also not grounded, you'll notice. And the reason for that is because when you ground both of them, when you have multiple grounds, you have ground loops. This board is grounded to this board through the power connector right here. That's one of the reasons I did that. So we have one power connection, or one ground connection between these two boards, and that's to avoid ground loops, which can result in some pretty funky oscillations. So the time has arrived to go ahead and power this thing up. And I have not powered this radio up in months, maybe, oh gosh, it's been a long time. I don't even remember the last time I had this thing powered up, maybe a year ago. And so I'm actually pretty nervous. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of, my nerves are kind of shot right now. They're not, my nerves are kind of shaking in my boots kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and power it up, and I'm going to share this moment with you because I think it's important that if it works, it's great. We can share a success. If it doesn't work, we can share a failure, which I think is equally important. And I've talked about that in other videos, but failing gracefully. One of my trainees in one of my classes, because I teach for a living, he said, fail forward, which was a phrase I've heard somewhere in the past, but he brought it to the forefront for me. And I love that phrase, fail forward. So we're going to learn from our failure here. Let's power it up. Okay, well, I heard something out of the speaker. That's a wild oscillation. So I'll bet you that's just the wrong speaker for it. It's just the wrong thing for it. So I'm starting to smell something. That's not good. I don't know what it would be. All right, time to turn off the video here and do some troubleshooting. All right. Sorry, trying to prevent the shaky cam there. Okay, so the reason that the LM386 wasn't happy is because this was not just wired backwards, but completely miswired. I thought I remembered that the black was supposed to be in the middle. It's brown, and so I had like brown, black, red, or something, and it's supposed to be black, brown, red. Anyway, so that's correct. Hopefully I didn't. I think the smell I smelled was this potentiometer, honestly. So we'll just fire it back up and see if we have more smelliness. I noticed when I was unsoldering that potentiometer from the wires that it had on it, from the old CB that I got it from, I noticed that it smelled funny. Like old CBs, old electronics, they smell weird. When I was a kid, I used to take apart electronics all the time just for fun, and I always noticed these really musty smells. And this is back in the 80s, and this is stuff that came from the 60s and 70s. Had no idea what I was doing. Probably destroyed nice things and didn't know it. But it's the price of learning. And I always noticed these funky smells. And this one was interesting. When I was desoldering from here and here and these, it smelled like a dirty diaper. Not a pleasant smell, actually. So I know you would think that would be a pleasant smell, but it's not. All right, let's fire it up. Okay, well, we've got sound. Well, we had sound. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's actual radio sounds or what, but we're going to play with it here. So I'm going to fiddle with this, and then I'll try to make some progress and come back.
2 hours later.
Okay, so I figured out the problem, and the problem, at least a problem, if not the problem, I have yet to prove that. A problem is that I was feeding, it's basically how I have this board put together. So I've got the local oscillator coming in here, and then going through this 3 dB pad, and then going into through this jumper, going directly into the mixer. Problem: the mixer is biased at 10 volts, and so that burning smell wasn't my hot glue gun. It was this, and so this is dead. I have proven that by plugging this in, and the Arduino eventually shorts out, and it shorts, and the Arduino quits. This light goes off. I think it just kills this regulator here. So I grabbed another one, put it in, and yeah, now it's correct. So this one is dead. I just built it, which really stinks. But yeah, I'm just gonna cut off a couple legs so that I don't ever accidentally try to use it again, and then throw it in the round file. All right. So that was a quick $7.75 lesson. So the solution here is a blocking capacitor, and I think now thinking is definitely not one of my strong points these days, but I think I can get by with a let's see, I should have somewhere around here. Let's see what this is here. These are 104. So whatever that is. It's a 0.01 microfarad, I think, blocking capacitor. So we're going to redo this with a blocking capacitor underneath the board. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'll come back, and hopefully we'll have a working rig. All right, so I've gone ahead and replaced that little green jumper wire, which is right here, with this blocking DC. I called it an RF blocking capacitor a minute ago. I meant a DC blocking capacitor. So this will pass RF, but not pass DC, obviously, because it's a capacitor. So we're gonna give that a try and see what happens. Hopefully, not blow anything up. If this works, then I'll just have to recalibrate the sketch for this synth kit, the SF5351, because surely the oscillator will be, this crystal will be at a different frequency. But if it works, it's gonna work fine. It'll just be a little bit off, which is fine. So we'll come back after I've got this put back together and hopefully have a working radio. Okay, so it's reassembled and we've got everything, generally back. So what I'm going to do here, first off, is just power it up and listen for the oscillators at 18.2. Excellent. Let's go down to 1105 something. Okay, so we have oscillators happening, so we're in good shape there. Now I don't hear any audio, so there's that. There's no audio. Not sure why that might be. A bad connection, perhaps. But that about scared me out of my chair. Maybe it scared you out of yours too. If so, I'm sorry. Hopefully you're doing okay there. Oh man, yeah, that had me going for a sec. Okay, so let's try tuning a signal we know will be there, which is our frenemy FT8. So let's just move the RF over to 7074. That's promising. Oh, that is real promising. Yes. Oh, this is wonderful. So we're going out of the passband of the crystal filter here. So now the chore will be to really calibrate it. Yeah, this is just so good. Now what we should be able to do is go above 110592. So we're going to call this success because it is. I mean, we're hearing radio sounds. It did cost us a synth board. You'll notice I did add a ground wire here. I don't know that I really needed to, but I did. So we'll just deal with that. But I'm really happy. This is the first time I've heard radio sounds out of this radio for at least a year. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing my my experience with me. I really appreciate you. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your input. 73, and we'll see you next time. Take care.